Thank you for downloading this episode of the Metroparks Podcast. I am Lorenzo. Matt is here, unfortunately. I mean, I'm excited, Matt. You're here, episode 20.
Lucky number 20. How about it?
Yeah.
This is 19 more than I thought we were going to have.
You know, I thought the same thing. It's the first one was a struggle. The planning with you was a struggle.
Yeah.
But we're here, man.
What is the 20-year anniversary gift?
I don't know.
Yeah.
You're supposed to give me some gold.
A better host would have known that before asking.
Okay.
But I'm not that guy.
Well, I didn't know.
Yeah. So, happy 20th.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the silver anniversary. I mean, if you don't know, I could just make up anything.
Yeah. No, that's 25. Everybody knows that.
Is that true?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is such an educational.
Gold is 50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I need to brag.
I'm just saying, those are the big ones.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this feels like the big one today, man. 2-0. How about it? We have Amy Szabo on. She was very pushy in terms of pronouncing that correctly.
Yeah.
It's pronounced Szabo. It's Hungarian. In Hungary, it's pronounced Szabo.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wasn't listening to what you said.
No, it's all right. We got, like you said, she's the guest today. It's the horticulture technician at TBG with all the spring is springing, so she gets to talk about all the flowers.
Yep.
That are going
in the spring, there will be growth.
Yeah.
So she is a really exciting part of the team, and she's going to give us some tips on what's growing and what not to grow, and talk a little bit about her passion.
Yeah.
So she's going to tell us what to do and what not to do, and talk about what's going on the 66 acres that is the Toledo Botanical Garden. So
your favorite place.
It is, yeah. I mean, I have a lot of favorites.
That's where you came from.
Yep.
though, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to hear more about it. We had Steve on, who oversees that space, but how decisions are made for planting, how busy it is now. I think that those are all interesting things. So I'm excited to get her input.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. It's she is. I've talked to Steve, her supervisor, about her, and she is really passionate about what she does, and the greenhouse there, and does a really good job. So I'm excited to hear that passion come out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So all right, we'll be right back with Amy Szabo, horticultural technician. And we're back with horticultural technician at Toledo Botanical Garden, Amy Szabo. Amy, thanks for being on the podcast today.
Thanks for having me.
Matt, go.
All right, Amy, thrilled to have you. Certainly timely with growing and planting season just a few weeks away. Some people, as they usually do in Northwest Ohio, have already planted, so you can kind of kiss those plants goodbye. But we want to get to all that stuff, and there's certainly good advice moving forward. But let's get down to the easy parts. Amy, who are you and where are you from? And how Hungarian are you?
I think like 40% maybe.
40%?
Solid.
I made that up. I really don't know.
That's it. Look, we're not strong on math here, so we don't even know what that figure means.
We're very popular in Hungary, though, so.
But my last name is 100% Hungarian.
There you go. Right, we have a huge Hungarian demographic.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, we're sponsored by Tony Pacos. I don't know if you know that. They don't know that.
Oh.
Tony Pacos is also unaware. That
Get some free lunches then.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, Szabo, born and raised Northwest Ohio, Toledo.
Yep. North of Swanton. So I went to Evergreen. Out in the middle of a
you
bunch
and
of
14 other
cornfields.
kids.
I say that's such a small school.
Yeah, Evergreen has been on a fog delay for 15 years.
Yep, we have the good old drive your tractor to work day.
Get out of town.
Is that real?
Yeah, it was. I don't know if they still do it, but it was.
You think they progressed a tremendous amount since your graduation?
Possibly.
Drive your tractor to work day.
For school, I guess, not work.
Did you? Right. Did you participate? Did you drive a tractor?
I did not.
Okay.
No.
Were you made fun of by the other tractor driving classmates? How many classmates? How many in your graduating class at Evergreen?
I think like 90.
You think?
Yes.
Okay.
We were like one of the large classes.
How about that?
Oh, wow.
All right. Yeah. The Evergreen Fighting
Vikings?
You knew that?
Nailed it.
How do you know that?
Because I'm
Football?
awesome.
Yeah,
Just
okay,
sports, high school sports.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Evergreen, the powerhouse in.
What are you talking about?
What's their sport? What's their claim to fame?
Wrestling. They're pretty good at wrestling, too.
What'd you say?
I said nothing.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, sure. Yeah, all right. I can't wait for the letter of cease and desist from Evergreen's superintendent. Anyway, there's on fog delay. They will probably won't hear this for decades. Amy, so you grew up on a farm? Are you a farm kid or a city kid?
Yeah, my uncle still had the family farm, so my dad was a farmer, and we lived down the road, so kind of around the farm, but not really farming. But our property was surrounded by all the fields, so we'd go run around in the fields and go down the creek and play outside.
Sure, creek, not crick.
Yes, it's a creek.
Got it.
Good for you. Thank you.
A crick. Actually, I've always said a crick is a smaller one and a creek is a larger one.
Yeah.
It's kind
That
of,
sounds very scientific.
yeah. That's,
Yeah. I'll make sure you edit that out, Laura. Goodbye, Tony Pacco sponsorship. So, what kind of farm?
Just your typical corn, soybeans.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Family farm. All the Szabos live in a pretty close proximity, tight family.
There's a lot of them, so I don't even know everyone I'm related to
How
anymore.
about that?
Really.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, both sides. So my mom and dad both had a family of 7 growing
about
up,
that?
and
Wow.
then they all multiplied. And
That's a romantic way to articulate
Yes.
it. Yeah, sure. Yeah. How many brothers and sisters do you have?
I am the last of 5, so
Last of
youngest
5.
of 5.
That's a big family for
Yes.
Nowadays, right?
Yeah, definitely.
What's the span? How old's the oldest?
9 years older than me.
Okay.
I'm 29.
Okay.
now.
Happy birthday. I don't know if that's amazing. All right. That's not a huge gap for 5, really.
Yeah.
No.
So
Yeah.
that's a pretty
Like
close family.
2 to 3 years in between
Yeah,
everybody.
no, I could do the math. Please don't.
Can you though?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's
So that's 40% of your family. But pretty close. You guys pretty tight knit.
Yeah, kind of, but everybody moved away except for me.
Okay.
So I'm the last one left here.
Okay, sure.
So we've got California, Cincinnati, 2 in Cincinnati, but one is moving back to South Carolina.
Okay.
And then Colorado.
Okay.
Wow.
Good places to visit, though, certainly.
Yes,
Yeah.
lots of vacation places.
Awesome. Good for you. So heading to Evergreen, where after Evergreen, where'd you head?
Bowling Green.
Okay.
Yep.
Studied.
Environmental science.
So this is, you're right off the rip in this space.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't start in environmental science. I had no clue. I didn't get there till my junior year.
Okay.
So I was actually education major and then in the art school.
Okay.
And then took one environmental science class and changed my major from that day. I might have to owe it to my mom's credit. She kept telling me, I know somebody who is taking an environmental science class there and they loved it. And I'd be like, I don't need your advice, Mom. Like,
Yeah, sure.
But I needed to take a class, so I
Let
took
me ask you a
it.
question. Why does your mom talk like that?
If you met her, you would know. She's totally going to listen to this too.
Yeah, sure. We'll dress that up. Don't worry.
Thank
you. Yep. With Mother's Day coming up, we'll make sure we'll tee up a question for you.
I love you, Mom.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
Fixed. That's all it takes.
Yeah, she's actually in the next room. This is she's right behind the screen. So environmental science, the one class, and then you got the bug. No
Yep.
pun intended there. And then you moved from BG to where?
Well, I finished school there at BG, and then I started with Metroparks as my internship while I was still
Awesome.
in school. So in the summers, I'd work at Blue Creek, which is where I started at the seed nursery.
I think that's where we met.
Yes.
When you were in intern when we met, I think, for
Yes.
the first time.
Yep.
Like 4 years ago now, 3.5 years ago.
Yeah. So I started there in 2013.
Okay. With Penny and Janella
Yep.
out in the
Yep.
old jail.
Yes. Actually,
Yeah.
Janella wasn't even there yet when I started.
We refer
So,
those as the good times.
Yes.
Pre-Janella. Yeah.
The fun days.
Yeah, we try to say as many awful things about our former guests as possible. So the show's really careening into a bad place.
Yes.
But we won't say anything bad about you.
Okay.
Never.
Good.
Right.
I'm going to listen to all the ones after
Yeah,
this.
thanks.
If that's how we get listeners,
we really need the downloads.
Yeah.
So anything, I mean, we're willing to send you checks. Is there a correlation, and maybe we'll get to that in a little bit, between art and the horticulture that you care about? Is there a closer line there?
Yeah, I definitely think so. That's like my favorite thing, and what attracts me is designing with the plants, you know?
Okay.
I'm not super into like the nitty gritty science aspect of the plants. Like I don't need to know all of that.
Like the Latin. Yeah, sure.
I mean, that stuff's nice and it is interesting, but it's not like what really fuels me. It's more like the artistic creation.
So
with the
designing
plants.
beds and seeing how they work together from an aesthetic standpoint.
Yeah, and just creating space that can almost like transport you to somewhere else.
So is part of this in your childhood? I mean, did your folks, other than the farming component of it,
Yeah.
were they gardeners? Were you a gardener?
Yeah, I think I've actually made them gardeners throughout my journey. But I remember growing up and going to, our neighbors had a big wholesale greenhouse, so we'd go there every spring, and they had kids, so we'd run and play down the greenhouse aisles, and it was really fun. But my mom would always go one time in the spring and pick out flowers, and she'd always get petunias and impatiens.
Okay.
And I was like, let's get something different. I called them the plain boring flowers, and I hated them, and I wouldn't plant them for a long time. And I like them again now, but for a long time I refused to plant them.
Sure.
So that's like, I loved being around the gardening. And then when I started, probably like high school, I wanted to start growing perennials. We didn't have like any perennials, so we'd go and like get little ones. And it really, I think it came from loving like fantasy books. Actually, it's kind of embarrassing. But
don't be silly.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, no one listens to this, so don't be embarrassed. But talk to us. I'm really interested.
Yeah,
in that.
I was really into like the fan. I mean, I was really little. It was all unicorns. Everything was unicorns.
Yeah, Lorenzo was the same way. God bless him.
No, you meant to say my daughter.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
Yeah.
Lorenzo has a giant tattoo on his
piece.
lower
A
back.
big back piece. Yeah.
He loves them.
Can't get enough of them.
Yeah, thank God they just became popular, because before his tattoo looked
They're
stupid.
so popular now. It's crazy. I was like, I would have
Well,
actually
don't
been
tell him.
cool if I was a kid nowadays.
Yeah, well, that's probably a stretch. But I mean, so fantasy translates into this wonder. You're creating a wonderland as well.
Yeah,
is
it's
that?
like I wanted to create this space that was like took you to this other land where you felt like you were somewhere else other than.
Is that how you? Bear with me here with this. That's how I felt the first time I saw Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Like they opened up the doors in that like Wonderland. I was like, oh my God, this is. First of all, candy has a soft space in my heart. Yeah, no, soft space all over. Yeah, right. Soft space all over me. Yeah. But that sort of the wonder of that, which then translated in the book, is the same thing. I mean, the horticulture is sort of a leap in that space, but I don't know. The lollipops were flowers, and I mean, this is a canvas of wonderment. So it sounds like it's similar. What is are you still into fantasy? Read or watch?
Yes, I am.
Tell me what your guilty pleasure is in that arena.
My favorite's Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
It's like the first question I ask new employees is if they like Lord of the Rings or not, to judge if I'm going to be their friend.
Yeah. We've had a lot of turnover out there. You know, the things are starting to figure it out, starting to make a lot of sense. Do you have a favorite movie and or Tolkien experience?
No, we used to like have marathons where we try to watch all three of them in one night and make
And by
like
you're saying this is another person?
Yeah,
You and
a couple
You
friends.
and a made-up friend?
Yeah.
Sure, now it's a couple. Yeah.
It's slowly diminished over the years.
Yes, I would imagine.
Yeah, we'd make a giant cauldron of puppy chow and then just like fall asleep occasionally, like wake back up to a good part.
Yeah. God, it's great to be an American.
So,
right?
yeah, just recently.
Making a cauldron of snacks.
Just recently we went, they had them in the IMAX theaters.
Yeah.
So we went and watched them all. The same friend who moved back here after being in Columbus. So we went and watched
They had
those
trouble
in the
making
IMAX.
other friends like you there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would
she
imagine.
had to come back.
Yeah, sure. Back to the coven. There's that we could go down that entire line, and I would be fascinated, but I guess that's for a different show. But plugging back into the green space. So you're out at the seed nursery, and you then moved over to the botanical garden. How long have you been there?
I think almost 3 years now.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
So 66 acres there, quickly becoming one of our most visited parks. Right? So that assimilated into the Metroparks about 4 years ago this summer. And it has just exploded in terms of usage. So it's gone from about 180,000 visits annually to 400,000 to 500,000. So new playground there that people are bananas about.
Yeah.
But the tried and true space there is the horticulture component of it. And I know that there are a lot of people that were concerned about a park operating a botanical garden, although that's been a home run across the country. Can you talk a little bit about the perennial garden, the shade garden, and places that people can visit?
Yeah. So the perennial garden is probably my favorite place.
Okay.
One of, I suppose. But really nice, more of your sun perennials mixed with some annuals, different gardens within that, cottage garden, color garden, some formal areas. And then the woodland garden, we have the Hosta Collection, which Jonathan Milbrook could tell you much more about that.
Yes.
He does the records for the park.
Yes.
Which is something I will never do.
I would be, there's so many jobs I would be terrible at. That is on the list.
What is that?
Accessioning plants, essentially. Well, we have an expert here, so go ahead.
Yeah, accessioning the plants, and so all the plants that get planted have a record of them. So they go in when they were planted, their species, where they came from, and all the information is stored in a database.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so.
Is that at all the parks or just
so
that
that's
park?
one of the things that makes for a botanical garden.
Okay,
That's one of the distinctions. I don't know if that's true. That's a very good question in terms of tree identification, but one of the things that makes a botanical garden, that definition is a sessioned or recorded plant.
Just to know everything's there.
That's
what's
correct.
all there. Okay.
It also has created a Pokemon buzz, and we can get to that eventually. I'm sure it's a passion of all three of ours. Well, actually, based on some of the nerds I've got in this room, it might be.
Yeah.
We'll get to this. So two components of this that you made mention of. I went to the Crosby Gardens as a kid, as a camper, and I walked through the artist village, and I was always just totally blown away by the charming aspect of it. I never made my way to the perennial garden, which is a fabulous place. Can you talk to us a little bit about, to a layperson like myself, and certainly Lorenzo here, located off the south end, off the Bancroft entrance, at least that's the closest parking.
Yes.
But I think it might play a little into your fantasy passion as well, right? Walk us through that.
What part of it?
Any part of it. So if I just happened to make my way in the Bancroft entrance and I walked in there, what makes for a perennial garden? What are some of the neat aspects in there? Can you walk us through that?
It's pretty secluded out on its own and then surrounded by tall hedges. So it really gives you that feeling of being enclosed, which is what's so awesome about it. You go in, and I was talking about each separate garden in there, they're really cut off by hedges. So you turn the corner and it's a different, completely new garden with a new style and different things about it. So it's really fun. And it's really fun to be able to be the person choosing what goes in there.
Yeah, for sure.
Taking care of it.
I think those separate rooms are just as you described. You do find your way into something totally new and beautiful in the trip there. It was new to me. I found it later in life. It's a good place to feel away, like your own nook and cranny. There's the old stone structure in there with that I think super charming iron gate.
Yes.
That you've seen probably 10 million senior pictures and engagement photos.
Yes.
And it's just such an intricate amount of detail that goes into that arena. How much work goes into the planning of those plantings? When do you start figuring out what you want to go in there?
The fall of the year before, typically, or even as the year goes on, I'll kind of take notes of what season things seem kind of drab and what holes that need filled, and start to make plans. And then for things that I can get and grow from seed, that's usually just get them in the fall and can start them and grow them. If it's stuff that we actually need to purchase or larger things, it kind of goes in a list and then can keep it for if we get donations for certain things, or when we have if there's extra money in the horticulture budget at the end of the year to be able to buy some of the larger material.
How do you get these ideas? Where does it?
They just come to me all the time. Steve says I have too many ideas.
Well, what 2 ideas is a lot to Steve, so don't let that.
We're just gonna bash all of my supervisors.
Well, they're outside, so
with your mother.
It's going to be a rough afternoon for you.
Do you find it hard to always want to change it up? Because I know there's plants that I like, and I know when in previous jobs I was in charge of doing things, and I was always trying to find diversity from year to year, just so it's not the same thing.
Yeah, so that's a great question.
I don't find that issue too bad. I guess I've only been there 3 years, so maybe in 15 I could get there. But there's some that are my tried and true favorites that I'll always plant, especially cottage garden. I'll always plant the foxgloves and delphiniums.
Can't have without those.
Because they're just amazing.
They're awesome. Okay, get some for your house.
Yeah. Get some for your house.
But I love even doing the annual designs. It's so fun to mix it up from year to year and just pick the different colors. And there's always new stuff that comes out too. So
how is that possible?
With plant breeding, they'll come up with new varieties.
This is the adult only portion of the show, so go right ahead.
When 2 plants really love each other.
That's right. Lorenzo, what she's talking about, we'll talk about after the show.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I love that part of the plants, especially annuals. I ordered my old job. I ordered annuals, and I was in charge of certain places on campus. And
Lorenzo used to work at Nettie's. I didn't know they referred to them as campuses.
No.
Oh, okay.
And from year to year, like, oh, here's this new thing, this new type of whatever.
What do you mean? Talk to me about this. What do you mean? There's a new.
So it could be a like a core, like perennial could be a corbel, and this year they're coming out with this new colored one.
Oh, okay.
You know, it looks different than all these other ones, or that's why there's like 10,000 different hostas. They're just always breeding them.
And how do you come across? Is there like
catalogs?
Is that true?
Yeah.
This really displays my ignorance here, but that's true. That's how you get it. How are these publications? What are they called?
It depends on the breeder. So, like, Proven Winners is a big one that comes up with new ones. And 4-star.
They have the white bucket. They come in. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, and 4-stars fairly close to us, and they sell Proven Winners, and so they have display gardens. So we try to go to their display gardens,
and kind of check out what
in the summer and kind of see the new things. So Rikers.
How excited are you on your first trip out annually? I mean, seriously,
like crazy. So the first time I went to Rikers, it's just like
Riker.
Rakers,
okay.
Roberta Rakers, I think.
Rikers is an entirely different experience.
Yeah. Yes, sorry.
The first time I went to Rikers, it was 5 to 7. The gardening was pretty specific.
But it's just these big fields of like all these different varieties. And because I was we like only had a certain amount of time because we had to do both of them in one day.
Okay.
And it's kind of a far drive. So I was like sprinting across the field, like literally running and just like trying to see everything and like taking pictures and writing stuff down. And I was just like, oh my God, I need this one and that one.
Yeah. I think the reverse would be true too, right? So it isn't just like wanting to feed your interest. It's also you have a finite amount of space and a budget, and you're figuring out what ones you have to have that year, as opposed to that. How do you prioritize?
That's the hardest part. Is like I want all this stuff, but I got a box to put it in. You know,
right? Yeah, sure. So what Lorenzo's done is, based on his size, he makes his neighbor's garden for him.
I listened to that one.
Yeah.
No, they don't.
First of all, that one. Now you know you only listen to one.
I don't make them garden. I just use their space. I garden. I just use their space.
That doesn't sound fishy to you at all. Yeah. Well, I didn't take their car. I just sat in it, and then it drove away with me in it. So I mean, in many ways, they let me have it.
Hey, it's a win-win-win.
Yeah. I just picture these two terrified people hiding in their house as this as Gigantor comes over and tells them, yeah,
the neighbor's out there again.
Yeah, that's right. Lorenzo's dropped off more plants for us to tend. Anyway.
Oh my God.
So how do you said about a year before, so how do you make those decisions? Do you pare it down? Do you have a million ideas in a drawer somewhere? How do you decide? Like what makes the cut and what doesn't?
Yeah. So there's 3 people there who decide typically. So it's me, the other Hort Tech, Dan Plath, and then Jonathan, who I already mentioned.
Yep.
So we'll usually get together for our big annual displays and kind of, if there's ones that some of us like really like, we'll work those into a display. And then
I want to know everything about this meeting. So the 3 of you get in a room and you all come with ideas.
Yes.
Okay. For every.
And then we fight.
We're getting there. I hope we're getting there. Yeah. So,
boxing match.
Yeah. So you all come with ideas. And every bed is open season here for conversation, or the specific annual beds, or talk to me about what.
Yeah. It's kind of like Jonathan usually comes with more concrete ideas because he's a planner.
Yes.
And so he typically has the woman with the birds bed that he kind of already came up with ideas
behind the conference center.
Yes.
That's an iconic part of the garden. That's a beautiful statue. Yep.
So he's been doing that one since I've been here. And then we kind of we'll tweak, if he doesn't have it finished, or we have other plants that we really like and they would fit in that display. And then for the other 2 so far, it's just been kind of starting with something. And
those are great guys. So I don't mean to throw kerosene onto something, but is there
do.
some territorialism? I mean, you guys are all very passionate, great people, but all very passionate. I would think that there has to be some debate as to what should go in
so
and what
these
shouldn't.
are just the 3 big annual displays I'm talking about, which is a very small part of the entire
Still.
park. So other than that, we have our own areas that we kind of manage for the other garden beds. So,
I gotcha.
So I take care of the Heirloom Garden, the Rose Garden, Cottage Color, English Border, and those are my areas. So we'll usually check with each other when we have like big ideas. Like I don't tell them every plant I'm going to plant because that would just be ridiculous because I plant everything. But so if there's like big things that are getting changed, we'll usually like have each other look it over and see if anybody else has any other ideas. But we kind of have our areas that we take care of. And
so how you guys meet? How long is this meeting?
Probably a couple hours, and then we usually meet again because it's like, so this year there was some that we really liked. We put this stuff together, but the plants we weren't able to get. So once we find out what we want, I email our plant rep and then see what's even available for us to be able to get. So then we might have to tweak things after that and re-meet.
Okay.
Yeah.
You really enjoyed that process, it looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I just think it's, again, these are all great people, so it probably makes it easier. But I mean, there's certainly opinions in there. When I worked at the Botanical Garden, again, this will display my ignorance. I just assumed like all plant people like exactly the same stuff, right? And if it grows, no is right. So if it grows, we're for it, right? But there's native plants and collections. People
That's a big debate.
So like shockingly so, right? And I mean, to me, as a dope, right? I mean, they both have an intrinsic value to me,
right?
So it was surprising to me, again, embarrassingly, that they would be compartmentalized in that way. So that's the nice thing about what Lorenzo's got over at his house is he doesn't ask his neighbors; he just tells them. They don't really there's like a suggestion box that he's turned into a duck house.
Yeah.
No, that's in my yard.
Yeah,
the duck house. Those are coming next week, by the way.
The ducks are.
Yeah, actually, by the time this airs, I will have ducks.
Yeah, how about that?
Yep.
I'm sorry, Amy. We do have guests on because people are interested, but we end up talking mostly about Lorenzo.
Okay,
that's okay. I like
yard.
Ducks.
Yeah. Okay.
I used to have ducks.
Oh, see.
Yeah, I still have chickens.
Talk to me about this. So,
how many do you have?
Chickens? Oh, I don't know. Not that many. Probably like 12. I have to count them.
How many is many? Because 12 seems like a lot.
It does seem like a lot.
Well, I had a lot more than 12 before because I'm also like I get addicted to a lot of things.
Until you didn't let Jonathan plant what he wanted. Now like 10 of them came up missing.
Well. We have 8 some of them, so.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Okay,
all right. You're a human being. I get it. Again, back to our sponsor, Tony Packers.
I know. Should we edit that out?
Yeah, don't worry. Again, no one listens to this. Yeah. So, chickens, you have 12 chickens. You have other animals, I would assume?
Yes.
Can you give us the whole roster?
My dog, Wesson, is like my baby child.
Okay.
And then we have a dog, Bo, and my cat is Mr. Meowgie.
Yeah.
And then the chickens, who my rooster's name is Cluck Norris.
Yeah.
We have Egna and some other ones.
It was hard for me to figure out what the real downside of this interview was going to be. But there we have
Nailed it.
We just got, this is good. We got it, right?
I have 2 young kids, and I'm not gonna. I don't think I'm gonna enjoy them naming the ducks because I had like this. I'll name. There's 4 of them, and I'll name them something similar.
4 ducks are coming.
3 female, 1 male.
Okay.
Yep. And I was like, okay, well, we'll name them something similar. Like a group of whatever. And my kids are no. One's gonna be named Princess. One's Tree House. And
So we had a dog when I was growing up, and my dad said, "Well, what do you want to name it?" It was a golden retriever, and I said, "Well, let's name him Fire Truck."
That's exactly what it's going to be.
And I think my dad's first thought was, I was 17 years old. So I think my dad's first thing is like, I'm going to save a lot of money for higher education on this idiot because he's not going anywhere. No, but then they worked me down to just chief.
All right.
So
there you go.
Yeah.
That works.
Yeah, totally. All right, so we've got a Noah's Ark out.
Yes, I also have 2 horses.
Oh,
how about that? Yeah. Where the hell do you live?
The horses don't live with me.
Yeah.
But I live in the big city of Colton, Ohio.
Colton?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Is that?
I've never heard
Me neither. Yeah.
So I used to live
metropolis?
2 miles from there, and I didn't know it was there until I rode my bike through there one day and was like, "Where'd this come from?" Yeah, it's kind of between Liberty Center and White House.
Okay. What is there to signify Colton?
A post office
Okay, how about that?
and
All
a church.
Yeah, sure, of course.
Okay,
Yeah. So the two horses moved out and now have their own apartment? What is
They've never lived there. They live with my friend
Okay.
who has a horse farm. So she just moved to Perrysburg
Okay.
on a 84-acre old golf course. So now
How
the
about that?
horses
Wow.
are living the good life.
Sure. What are the horses' names?
Nova and Chessie,
Awesome.
also known as Cheeseball.
Okay. Yep. That's the stage name.
Yes.
There's a lot going on there. Yeah. You've got a lot of responsibility, kiddo.
Oh, yeah.
That's amazing.
That's just the surface.
That's just the service. Yeah, right. Plus your 15 friends that you graduated
Yes.
with from Evergreen.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't lose track of those folks. Again, back to the Botanical Garden. You opened up a really cool garden space that's accessible to everybody. Tell me a little about, we chatted a bit with Steve on, obviously a passion project for him.
Yes.
And I know one of yours as well. Can you walk
Yes.
us through that space as well?
Yeah, so that's the inclusive garden. New last year. It is all ADA accessible, but it's also inclusive to not just, someone in a wheelchair, but all different types of physical disabilities and mental. So, there's textured sidewalks so they can feel the change in texture if you have a sight impairment.
Gotcha.
And then the raised planters that are accessible to someone in a wheelchair. There's the rotating planters that you can move with just your arm. And then the plants in those are really where I came in and got to be creative, and that was really fun. So a lot of different sensory plants, so things with different textures, different smells. The one that Steve tries to make everybody eat that makes your mouth numb.
Yeah.
Right. He loves that. It's a bizarre thing that he's excited about.
Yeah, he latches on to a couple plants and just every person will know about those plants.
Right. Yeah. And I think also is how much he enjoys numbing people's mouths.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a strange. That is a must do. I've been and first of all, he's all kidding aside, Steve's passion is infectious, right?
Yes,
He has an incredible engine that only has one speed, right? A nuclear.
Yeah.
But it's all certainly well meaning. So he's out there. He's like, you got to try these things, and then people are in, right?
Yes.
He said, it makes your mouths numb, and then the faces they're like, why on earth would I be interested? But they do it, right? Because he's obviously his kindness is. It's transparent.
Yeah.
So they do, and they're like, yeah, it's numb. This is.
But then you go out there one day, there's no flowers left on anything.
Yeah.
He picked them up for everybody.
Steve hasn't felt anything in his mouth in 2 years. Your words. And this might be a little bit uncomfortable for you, but what part? This sort of planting green space has played a large part of your life, clearly. We've had a challenging year. You just talked about, accessibility and also the mental benefits. A garden in green space, what does that mean to you?
It's huge. It's like pretty much everything. That's what I do even when I go home. It's just really what I feel is important. I'm very into sustainability too, and the earth. So we do a lot of vegetable gardening, and it's really all connected. Having those spaces where you can just go and escape and come back to nature, because our society is pretty crazy nowadays.
Sure.
So I do feel like that's very important to kind of come back to the roots of what's really important.
That's well said. Certainly from the mean streets of Colton.
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen it all out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to imagine what's going on there right now. Anyway, so tell me, it is the last frost warning, according to the Farmer's Almanac, lifts the second week of May, right? So after Mother's Day weekend.
Yes.
Everyone who's planted everything before now should just kiss those things goodbye, largely. But talk to us a little bit about first-time gardeners or people who think they might be interested in it. Like, what is a step one? What's your advice if I've got a square foot of garden or an acre?
Yeah.
What do I do first? Where do I go?
Step one is, well, it depends on what kind of gardening you want. If you're vegetables versus flowers,
Okay.
but really just, doing it, starting somewhere. Go to the greenhouse, walk around, talk to the people there.
Yeah.
Tell them what you're looking for. Or maybe you don't even know, but when you walk around, I'm sure you'll get inspired by something.
Sure.
It's hard not to. So step one is just really getting your
something.
inspiration and trying something. And if you fail, then try again.
That's right. That's good advice. So you guys are always out and about. The OSU Extension is also a real resource, right?
Yes,
They have a hotline.
yes.
Amy Stone and her partners in crime down there are an incredible resource in all things growing.
Yeah.
So what are you excited about for 2021 on your 66 acres?
Yeah.
And what are you not excited about that Jonathan and Dan have planned?
Well, I'm not excited about blowing leaves again.
Sure. Edit that out. Just say that she loves everything.
What am I excited about? Everything.
Yeah. Great show. Thanks for coming in. No, there's got to be
I
something.
have like a hard time picking favorites. I was like, I hope they don't ask me about like favorite things because I just like too much.
Sure. That's all right.
But yeah, I always get really excited about my heirloom garden, which is kind of a new thing.
Where's that located?
That is by the log cabin.
Sure. Pioneer Cabin. Got it.
Yep. So some really cool plants going in there. They're always really weird, interesting things. So you might get to see some like yard-long green beans.
Yeah. Cool.
Cucumbers that look like lemons, and so that's kind of fun.
That cabin is another iconic spot for
Yes.
a lot of people's memories. As a camper, it was for me. There's a million senior pictures and engagement pictures taken there annually.
Yes.
So it is on people's walls and refrigerators all over the
Yes.
county. And I think that the space on the other side of that have been a million things, but this heirloom garden, I think, is one of the most responsible and one of the coolest attractions. So that's neat.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. All right, Amy, it is a pleasure.
Wait, time out. Before we go, you said something about Pokemon.
Oh yes.
I want to go back to that because how was that tied into TBG?
Well, I think the connection's obvious. No, so one of the things about the accession plant and other things there, like the public art, is that they have GPS drops in the 66 acres of the Botanical Garden. And how the algorithm for Pokemon works is that the GPS picks up all these things that have drops or are registered somewhere, and it registers it as a high activity area.
Oh, okay.
So it subsequently then drops in, and I'll get all the Pokemon vernacular wrong, so forgive me.
I'll correct you.
It drops all the gyms and other things in that location because it sees that stuff. So it is like one of the state's largest attractions for Pokemon because of all of those GPS coordinates that are dropped in there.
For Pokemon Go is what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I hope I didn't offend it.
No, I was just confused at first, but I figured it out.
Yeah. Wow, this is amazing. For the 12 people that have been able to get out of their parents' basements to hear the show, that's an important clarification.
It is crazy. Like I'm talking like blizzard, and it's like 7:00 in the morning, and there's still snow plows, and like we gotta like wait for a Pokemon person get in their car.
Really?
Yeah.
Or they're driving through slowly so they don't actually walk. And now, first of all, let me back up here. That, generally speaking, is not an audience that necessarily is outside very much. You know, they're gamers, so the games are inside, right? So not a critique or a criticism, just another interest. So Pokemon gets people outside.
Yeah, it
right.
really
Gets them
does.
walking around.
Can you say it correctly though?
I don't know which part.
Pokemon.
Walk.
Pokemon. Thank you.
What was I saying?
Pokemon.
Oh. This is insufferable.
I'm just saying, when my son listens to this, he's going to say, "Dad, why didn't you correct him?"
Yeah, I'm sure that'll be the one thing that he has an issue with. Yeah. Pokemon.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Nailed it.
You're welcome. So, I mean, it gets people out and about, other than the people who are now just driving slowly through, dangerously with their head down on their phone. As children play. Yeah, that's real life.
We have a sign now.
I know. I was part of the design. It's one of the many things that I can lay claim to.
Nice.
The odds of them reading the sign again while they have their heads down on the phone.
Slim and none.
That's a conversation piece for another time, and probably a deposition. Where was the A-frame? Oh, it's underneath your car. All right, Amy, we usually have, we badger our guests with a couple of our top 3 questions. Okay. I know what your favorite outdoor-related movie is going to be now, since you've already, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Favorite outdoor-related movie?
Yeah, I guess I'll say that because I already said that one, The Lord of the Rings.
Sure.
But there really could be like a lot.
Yeah.
Like I said, I can't have favorites. So I really like the movie. It's old. It's The Man from Snowy River. And I grew up watching it. It's like a horse movie. It's like
horse movie.
Australia, and it's this like cowboy guy on a mountain. And
Mr. Ed, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a sequel to Quickly Down Under.
What?
The sequel to Quickly Down Under with Tom Selleck. God, I wish we could have a show about Magnum PI. Put a pin in that idea.
I mean, we can.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so we've got the movie down. A totally bizarre movie that no one's ever heard of. So, one more time. A Man from Snowy River?
The Man from Snowy River.
Okay, who plays the man?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm really bad at actors.
Yeah.
So.
Well, based on that, I also think you're pretty bad at movies. So it's Russell Crowe?
No. It's old.
Yeah. Well, he's not a
It's
kid.
older than that.
Yeah.
From 1982 film.
Okay. It's terrifying that you think that's old, but that's all right.
I'm just the Tom Burlinson.
I love him. He was so good in
Kirk Douglas is in it.
Kirk Douglas.
Yeah,
there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about that? Who plays the man from Snowy River?
I guess Tom Burlinson.
Yeah, just make up what I know.
He's the first one on the cast list. So.
Okay. All right.
After the death of his father, proud young Jim Craig.
We don't want to ruin it. People will probably be having on demand.
Spoiler alert.
So intrigued.
If you want the laser disc, it's available at the Colton at the Colton Library.
That's probably checked out.
Yeah, that's right. It has that and Splash. So, how about your favorite picnic item?
I don't know.
What, like a snack
Like
that you would eat?
water.
Come on.
Jesus, let's just do this. Yeah, water. So really, what Rikers? Yeah, I'm not sure.
Anything that I don't have to make myself.
That'll take
Okay.
for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Apples for Nova and water. Put it in the afternoon.
What about your favorite spring activity?
Oh, gardening.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you put headphones on? Do you not like any noise?
No, I don't like noise. I've been listening to podcasts a lot lately.
Yeah, just not ours.
No.
That's nice. Just been listening to the audiobook of The Man from Snowy River.
Yeah. Well, I'm starting a cut flower farm, so I've been listening to a lot of cut flower podcasts.
Stacy.
Yeah,
Yes,
Stacey
we
did
talk
that.
all the time.
Yeah,
We
well,
get together and it's just like bad news.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You two are real savages. If you want to come over to dinner at Stacy's house, you can eat underneath her dining table. It has 1,200 plants on top of it.
Oh, yeah.
Have you been?
No.
Yeah.
I just,
there's probably no room. There's probably no room to have guests over anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just chicken wings and plants over there.
You always like. Yes.
Well, she's the best, as are you.
She is.
So, Amy, thanks for coming on. It was so nice to have you. And we're looking into spring. So you'll see people out in the garden.
Yeah. Thanks, Amy.
Thank you for having me.
We'll be right back to finish the episode with our top 3.
All right, we are back. Amy Szabo, what an interesting person. A lot of interests that are all over the place into one horticulturist. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff there I didn't know. The planning of it, I'm not a strong planner, generally speaking. So planning, I don't know why you're laughing. The planning of that space is really interesting to me. The tie-in between art and fantasy and then being able to design. Now that you said it, makes sense, but at first it's like, oh my gosh, we've got a total lunatic on our hands here.
How does these two coexist?
Yeah. So it's a nice walkthrough too of that property. So I think it's easy to not necessarily have a cohesive experience, or has been until the Metroparks took over there. The perennial garden, which is off the main drag of Elmer, is the main drag. You can miss out on it, and it is really a place of wonderment.
Yeah.
So that was really cool, and I know that plants are part of your life. So I'm glad you guys got to kind of kibitz about your interests in.
Yeah. I know. I like the. She mentioned the woodland garden.
Yes.
That's when she talks about, like, when she first said like fantasy. That's what that reminded me of, because you go in there and everything's covered, everything's shade. There's hostas everywhere, and there's water running through there. It's really cool.
That's I mentioned that I was a camper, and they did take us into that space,
Yeah.
and that what you were experiencing is exactly what I did as a camper as well. It felt like hidden away. It was like a secret.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you, and kids are probably doing the same thing right now.
Yeah.
So another one of the great people who work here, one of the great parks, the Toledo Botanical Garden, and that was fun for me, and I know it was for you based on your shared interest.
Yeah, definitely.
So again, we are joined here by Lorenzo, who now runs Pearson Metropark. So I don't want to.
That's why I got this shirt on.
Yeah, it says Pearson number 1. For those that is a super exciting, man. Speaking of busy parks, that's certainly one of the busier ones.
Yeah.
Has a lot of great stuff to it. So I can't wait to talk to you more about that. But that is for another show. We are down to the wire for getting Mother's Day gifts here. The much well, I guess the part of the show that comes with a tremendous amount of fanfare, and by fanfare, I mean we get pretty regular feedback to stop doing it, is our top 3. So it is top 3 Mother's Day gifts.
Yes.
And I suggest this to you, and I want the public to know that your response to me was like an experience or like a gift.
No, you said, don't say no. Here you go again.
Okay.
The text was Mother's Day ideas. So I didn't know what that meant.
I don't think that's true.
Yeah, I'll read it right now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. People need to know.
Yeah. Because then that's why I text back what I texted back. Let me. I would show the camera, but we don't have camera operators to zoom in that far. Okay, here you go. I asked any top 3 ideas, and you said Mother's Day ideas. And I said, "Oh, nice! Like places to go, gifts."
Oh,
and then
okay.
Nothing came back.
Anyway, I think I was pretty clear there. Back to Mother's Day, either one of those things.
Yeah, okay, all right, but I pulled through.
Yeah, I'm sure that you usually do.
Yes.
So this is ideas around Mother's Day, and you and I are both mama's boys.
Definitely.
I don't mind sharing that with our audience. So we are content experts, maybe for the first time ever. So let's talk about this. Again, our moms are number ones in our books, sans our children. Mm-hmm. Anyone else who is on this thinking that we mentioned you, we did, but we edited it out. So without further ado, number 3, top Mother's Day ideas.
So for me, just like we were talking with Amy, I love flowers and plants. Yeah. It definitely changed. So when I was younger and I would go with my dad, we'd pick out flowers, put in a vase.
Yeah.
Now when I don't buy flowers, I'll buy perennials.
With your mom's boyfriend.
No. No.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Still my dad.
And her boyfriend. Yeah.
But I'll buy perennials because now if I buy it for my wife or my mom, it's a plant they can put in the yard and it'll be there all the time.
Okay.
So it's not just flowers are awesome in a vase and and they have their space.
Value.
Yeah. Yep. And but I like that part of it because now when like my mom looks at it, she can think of me and only me because I'm better than all the other children in our family. So
this is going to be a darker list than I expected. Yeah, sure. Okay.
So that's for me. What do you got at number 3?
Mine is in the same avenue. It is like cleaning out her garden.
Okay.
So annually. Like getting the beds ready or mulching or really whatever job that she has suggested it would be nice to do together in her yard. So I think that's really fun. My mom used to go annually to her folks' house to help prep the bed and plant for her folks. So there's, I think that's just really nice. And it's time together, right? So indiscriminate of how the rest of our list goes, that time I think is important.
I think so.
Right? And really our gift to them is time. I mean, any experience with Matt Killam and Lorenzo Melcher, am I pronouncing that correctly?
You nailed it.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's Hungarian.
You didn't even
for
practice
Szabo.
The first N is silent in Melcher, though.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I wish that you were silent. So number 2 on your list.
Number 2 is anything that, as a kid, anything I made or like cards, drawings. That's an easy thing for kids to do, and it's way better than any present that, like, if my kids made something for my wife, it's way better than anything I would bought.
Something handmade.
Yeah.
Are there anything that kind of sticks out or something still hanging that was made by anybody? Does she have something, or does your wife have something that was?
I'm sure she has drawings in her office or letters, or especially because my daughter, like, she's getting she's like learning how to write words, and learning how to spell. So those hold a special place because the misspelled words, and and it's a game to try to figure out what she's saying. Yeah. So I know she probably has.
I think a lot of our colleagues feel that way about my emails today.
I'm proud of Matt. He spelled a lot of words right.
It's really difficult to understand what he's saying. Yeah. No, that's super cool.
Yeah, and I've never noticed the tug of war that my wife goes through when she decides like what to throw away and what to keep.
Oh.
Because it's you can't keep everything your kids
I
make.
know.
My mom did that, and now there's boxes and boxes of stuff.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And but it is a tug of war because she has like criteria on like, okay, we'll keep this around for a little bit, and then because if my daughter sees her throw something away that she wrote an A on or something, it's like, why are you throwing it away? I made it for you.
Yeah,
it's just the
talk to me about the rubric for deciding what goes and what stays.
So if there's something with a picture drawn,
okay,
she tends to keep that. If it's a story, or if it's like my daughter will draw a picture and then for school, and then underneath it'll have like what's happening in this picture.
Okay,
she'll keep that. But if it's like math or English and they're just practicing letters, any of that stuff she'll get rid of.
Okay.
But if it's like specific, like here's this cool picture and a story, she'll keep that.
Okay,
yeah.
All right, I love that.
She's pretty strict on that.
Sure,
she's good at it though.
So mine is, and this is trite, admittedly, but it's still nice, like cooking her dinner, or have her have to not participate in any portion of. My mom likes to cook, so, and food is sort of a big experience in our family, but cooking for her and taking care of her in that way is nice. She loves that, and it makes us feel good too.
Do you like to cook?
I hate it.
Do you really?
Yeah, and I'm also terrible at it, so I'm this is a nightmare.
So what's a go-to Matt Killam meal if you have to cook something?
Any things that I just am taking out of a receptacle and putting onto a plate.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I know that sounds like a joke, but I don't know why I hate it so much. I just do.
Yeah.
I'm more than happy to clean up whatever awful thing is left over from pots and pans to God knows what. I'm happy to participate in cleanup and serving.
Yeah.
I just food prep and
even though your mom loves it, it's just never.
Yeah, well, don't make me feel bad.
I'm just
okay.
I'm just saying it just never picked up. You know,
oh God, no, never. I don't. Boiling water is like, because it pops up and burns you sometimes, and it takes forever. I never understand why it takes longer sometimes than others. I don't seem to be able to get like the right amount of milk and like macaroni and cheese.
Yeah,
I just don't get it. And then not getting it makes me feel stupid. So anyway,
there's a lot of things that make you feel stupid.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Probably a lot of things today. All right, down to your number one.
Number one, I like this, but I think I know my wife and my mom enjoyed it when we were younger. Is sleeping in,
sure,
or taking naps.
All right.
So if when I was little, my mom was like, "Hey, you know, it's Mother's Day, go outside," and we'll go outside so she can take a nap.
Yeah,
you know, and she might even flat out say like, "Here's an easy present. Let me take a nap for an hour."
Yeah,
you know, and go.
Well, I throw out all the stuff that you've made me.
But for my wife, you know, it's
a break.
Like, yes,
give them a break,
especially sleeping in.
Yeah,
yeah. That's because sometimes naps just you want to take a nap and it's not going to happen for whatever reason.
Yeah.
You know, but the sleeping in, you're already in your bed, you're already comfy. Just keep that.
Almost every time you start talking, I think about napping.
Okay,
so no, this is totally relatable.
So you put the podcast on when you want to take a nap?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, that's one of the things being prescribed for insomnia.
Oh, okay.
Is our show.
What about you? Number one.
Number one is complaining about my sibling. That's a gift that keeps on giving.
For who?
For she and I.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is just a wrapped up bow. Judging and complaining about family members is my gift to her. And vice versa. So we do it, in a sheepish, petty way.
And again, that's a time thing.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The gift of stabbing loved ones in the back is just a time-honored tradition, and we love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
So, and another
Special.
thing, one thing, it goes to show the level of support I have that I can say that freely on this because I know none of them support me enough to listen to this program.
Is that good or bad?
So I know my stepdad's going to listen to this walking around, but he's the only one.
Okay.
Yeah, and
so
we're nice to him. Yeah, the rest of them, yeah.
You can take it or leave it.
100%. 100%. So that's my gift to her, and vice versa. You want somebody to be petty and catty with? I'm your man.
Let's do it.
Yeah. It doesn't just have to be a Mother's Day. You name the day. I'll show up for it. But happy Mother's Day to everybody.
Yeah.
Get out with them in the parks. That's one thing that we didn't have on our list, but I think is a good thing. A walk with your mom or anyone. If you no longer have loved ones or parents with you, sometimes you can visit the park that allows you to visit the memories of times with them. So happy Mother's Day to all
Yes, happy
mothers
Mother's Day.
from Two Mamas Boys. These are two lists. We love you, moms. So that's it. Top three.
Yeah, another great episode as always.
Yeah, great to have Amy on. Excited things that come up. We've got all kinds of programmatic activity. Things are coming out of we're coming out of our caves, so stay tuned for what our programmers have going. Visit all your parks. Biggest week in birding is coming up. The spring is here. We've had our first few 80-degree days last week, so things are coming around. So a lot of things to look forward to.
Yep, and if you want any information on whatever Matt just said, check out the website, metroparkstoledo.com. This has been the Metroparks Podcast. Get outside yourself.